All right, so we have spent the last 2 days multiplying binomials together, both hard versions and easy problems. If you look at the top of the notes for today we are learning what is called factoring, which is actually the reverse of FOIL, or it's the reverse of a box problem. We have been doing this problem. Let's see at the top of the notes, x plus 3 times x plus 4. Now we can do FOIL or the box, either way, it doesn't matter. We do x and 3, x and 4. We should be getting really good at these by now. And we end up with x squared plus 7x plus 12. So this is what we've been doing. X plus 3 times x plus 4 ends up giving us this answer. Well, today we're working in the opposite direction, where I will give you this as the problem, the x squared plus 7x plus 12, and I'm going to ask you to try to work backwards and figure out what two binomials did I multiply together to get that. And there is a trick involved. Okay. We can use a diamond problem to help figure this out, to help us figure out what two numbers or what two binomials do I need to multiply together that'll give me that answer, x squared plus 7x plus 12. So here's what we do. We create our own diamond problem, and we place the 12, the last number, in the top of the diamond, and we place the 7, the middle number, the number next to x, we place that in the bottom of the diamond. And then we simply solve this diamond problem like we have done before. And if you have trouble, remember you can write the 12 off to the side and think of all the different ways that you can multiply two numbers together to get 12. Like 1 times 12, 2 times 6, 3 times 4. And remember, you can use your factor sheet if you can't think of what those factors are. But 3 and 4 would give me 7 when I add them together and give me 12 when I multiply them. So 3 and 4 would be my sides of the diamond. And 3 and 4 are what I should add to x and x to make two binomials that when I multiply them together, I get x squared plus 7x plus 12. So we always begin our parentheses with an x in each position, okay? When that first term of our equation is x squared, okay? If it wasn't x squared, if it was like 2x squared or 3x squared, then I would have to do something a little different. So the whole goal today is to be able to start with an equation like this and work our way back to the factors, okay? So some people call factoring unfoiling. So here's my problem, x squared plus 9x plus 20. I want to figure out what are the two things I would FOIL together to get that. Since the first term is x squared, it's pretty easy to write in x and x as the first term of each factor. To figure out what goes on the other half of each one, that's where you make your diamond. Put 20 on the top and 9 on the bottom. If you need to, remember, write 20 off to the side and think of all the ways you can multiply two numbers together to get 20. 1 times 20, 2 times 10, 4 times 5. Again, if you can't think of those, use your factor sheet, factor chart. 4 and 5 are my answers, obviously. Oops, that's a 5, sorry. 4 plus 5 is 9, 4 times 5 is 20. So over here, I would write plus 4 plus 5. It does not matter if you write the 4 in the first spot and the 5 in the second. It'd be just as right to write the 5 first and the 4 second. Either one of those answers would be fine. Let's try this example. Again, you can start these problems out by making your parentheses right away because you know you're going to do that. And the first term is x, because that has to give you x squared. Diamond problem off to the side, 28 to negative 11. These problems are interesting because I got to think of two numbers that multiply to be 28, but when I add them, they're going to be negative 11. Well, that means that both numbers have to be negative. because the only way to get positive 28 is if both these numbers were positive, but then I couldn't get them to add to negative 11, or if both of them are negative, when I multiply them together, two negatives make a positive. So both numbers are going to be negative. But I can write my 28 off to the side if I can't remember what the factors are in my head. So 1 times 28, 2 times 14, 4 times 7. Now I got to pick the ones that I can make add up to negative 11, which would be 4 and 7 as long as I make them both negative. So my answers over here would be x minus 4, x minus 7. I'm sure you've done these before. Here's another problem, another example. You can make the parentheses to start off with, then make the diamond, negative 30 on top, 1 on the bottom. Now remember our rule, if the top number is negative, that means one of these two side numbers had to be negative. Okay? It's the only way to get a negative on top is for one of these to be negative. Take 30 off to the side, 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, and 5 times 6. So I gotta try to put these together to get me positive 1, and since they multiply to be negative 30, one of the numbers has to be negative. So I think if I make the 5 a negative, that one would work. Negative 5 plus 6 is 1, negative 5 times 6 is negative 30. So negative 5 could go here, 6 could go here, and that means my factors are x minus 5 and x plus 6. Whatever sign you put with the number here, that's going to go with it in parentheses. So now you can kind of see why we did the diamond problems. They help us factor. Now this last example, x squared minus 36. Again, you're going to make your two parentheses. Make the diamond. Negative 36 goes on top. Now, there is no term with an x in it. Notice this one has an x in it, and the number in front of it was 1, so that went on the bottom. This one had a 9x in it, so the 9 went on the bottom. This one had a negative 11, so that meant negative 11 goes on the bottom. This one doesn't have an x, which means that the x term is 0. So a 0 goes on the bottom. So I think of two numbers that multiply to be negative 36 but add to be 0. And since the top number is negative, that means one number on the side is positive and one number is negative. Well, if they're going to add up to 0, they have to be the same number. One's positive, one's negative. And if you had trouble thinking of those, again, you'd write down 36 and try 1 times 36, 2 times 18, 3 times 12, 4 times 9, 6 times 6. The only one I can get to cancel out would be the 6 and negative 6. So my answers would be x plus 6, x minus 6. If you remember, that was our special FOIL problem where all I had to do was first times last. X times x is x squared, and 6 times negative 6 was negative 36.